Hello everyone, this is Reverend Dennis, welcoming you to this BCArt clip. We wanted to show this video to give you an idea of some of the work involved for our artists as they explore and get into the artistic expressions that they want to provide when they come into their studios or their settings where their work is done. This year's theme for the National Council is A Promise Shared. When I think of the word promise, I think it holds a sense of hope, a sense of warmth, a sense of welcome. And these are also shared when I view the work of our artists and when we have our virtual art exhibits. I think this is extended to all of us as the artists welcome you into what they have created to be able to provide their artistic expressions each year. A promise shared. When we come to the temple, we might think of a promise shared as the vow of Amida to embrace all beings. A promise shared might be our promise to Mom or Dad, Grandma or Grandpa, all the teachers that have touched our lives, all the teachers through history who have worked to support the temple and the teachings of Shin Buddhism and having them go forward. A promise shared might be our promise to help the Nembutsu teachings reach others who we might never know, we might never meet, extending into the infinite future. A promise shared is infinite wisdom and compassion moving through the universe and touching each of our lives. Please join us in our spiritual expressions through art. Welcome.
And I really appreciate the effort you're making with the BCA, because it opens it up to a whole arena of, I don't know, human involvement and involvement in the world that is active and expressive. So it's a new possibility from my point of view, not really knowing that much about the church and not really knowing much about the practice, but to see that there is some effort to create a relationship with artists is art is pretty exciting to me. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, is there more background background that you would like to include that to add to what I've provided so far?
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I would say that the 80s were a very activist time for me in reaction to Ronald Reagan's election in 1980, when I felt that the world was, well, America was collapsing and becoming very oppressive and racist and going backwards in time. So I got involved in Art Against Apartheid, which was right, pretty involving with other people, artists from San Francisco Art Institute, and we did Art Against Apartheid and made banners and participated in demonstrations, and that was a very multicultural effort. And we're pretty involved in the sense of using art to motivate social response. And I felt then like art could help raise consciousness. And what I went through as an artist, even though I wasn't speaking necessarily, or it was pretty silent by myself in my studio, that what I was going through consciousness wise could permeate society, and that was how um, consciousness could be changed. Every 100,000 people you have, there are certain people who are artists. And to raise up, to look at that kind of work is very, very empowering, because it means that there's art everywhere, there's artists everywhere, and it was a different kind of understanding for me, because I went to school at UC Berkeley and went through the art department, where we have European art history and learn about the universality of European art, which
Uh,
is a myth that we buy into, but it's totally commercial and it's totally persuasive. It's a huge, huge monolithic worldview. The language of art in different cultures is so vivid and empowering, just to see the difference, that I was pretty captivated by that, and
yeah,
wanted to bring up more voices around us. Here in the Bay Area, we have a few galleries, and there were a few people who were the big names. And this was from a long time ago, but it sort of reminded me of the fog that you see over San Francisco, and you see the tall buildings, maybe at the time, the Transamerica Pyramid and this and that few buildings over the clouds, over the fog. But what you don't see is the infrastructure below of the people and lives and stories and of the things that smaller buildings
mm,
that are covered by this fog. And I really got to like the idea of these other stories and other lives being articulated, besides the ones that you see all the time.
mm,
That was really my motivation for looking out into the community, and knowing that there was such big store of expressions and energy and inspiration, from different people's lives, really. I found painting a way to say embrace even conflicts or contradictions in my life that I couldn't think through. It's not a matter of logic. It's really a matter of experiencing it, I thought. And painting was a way to do that, that brought out maybe a different resolution than I would have thought of otherwise. So a painting wasn't just a solution that I was putting out there. It was working through what the situation was, and that was the grist. That was the stuff that made the wheels turn to create whatever it was. It wasn't, I didn't paint solutions, so to speak, at that point. I mean, I cannot say that it was all throughout. That was just my way of working. Other people have other ways, but I found it interesting to try to paint through things that I didn't understand, or I found difficult. That's the way I use my art.
Yeah. Okay. And reflecting back on my own, in the midst of creative process, I find this absorption into the moment. And I look to revisit those moments of absorption, and I come to find that I find them in other things that I do. When I'm chanting the sutras at the temple, or just running on the beach with my thoughts and the birds, waves drifting in and out, and absorbed into that moment. And I felt that when I was doing the creative process and making sculptures and the artwork, and then I find it elsewhere. And you've kind of said the same thing, and working in the garden and everyday life. And there's other things as a means, and it doesn't mean you have to have a canvas and a paintbrush in front of you, but being absorbed. And to me, there's a freedom uh, to allow things to be and for expressions to emerge. And so I shared that thought with you, and I wanted to, maybe you can expand on that from your perspective a little bit.
Absorption into the moment. It seems so kind of like fundamental and timeless. Um, it could be anywhere, it could be nothing, that I think it is special though, even though it's nothing.
Yeah, I think that's where we find our stability, you know. Yeah, yeah, good. Okay, well, thank you.